there?
Yeah.
Sorry, you just dropped out for a second. Thank you very much for calling, Thomas. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah. Who are you?
So I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
And I work for a team called Stuff Circuit, and we make documentaries.
And what's put involved me in something like that for?
Because we're trying to explain to people what it might be like to live with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder.
You explain to someone as conditions what's not seen.
Because what happens to people who, like you, what's it like to live with it?
I never chose this. I never chose this. I never chose this lifestyle. It was given to me. I've just spent pretty much my life in jail. No matter what I do, what I try.
Tell me your name and who you are.
I'm Maureen, just a nobody, just Maureen.
Well, you're not a nobody, you're Thomas's mum.
I'm Thomas's mother,
Yeah.
Thomas Morrison.
You were his granddad, but he called you Dad, didn't he?
Oh, yes, because as he said himself, you brought me up, you're my dad.
Paddy, what do you know about his mother's drinking?
She's awful drinker. She was always, since she was, 14, 16?
What do you know about her drinking when she was pregnant with Thomas?
Yes, she was drinking then.
What was your life like when you were pregnant with Thomas?
I used to drink and just be a normal 19-year-old, and back in those days, I really didn't know I was pregnant with Thomas till I was 6 months, and I was drinking during that time and partying up. Yeah.
Do you remember how much you would have been drinking?
Oh, a couple of bottles of vodka a day, at least. Yeah, quite a lot.
What were you thinking in terms of your pregnancy then?
Didn't really think about it. Yeah. It's just because everyone else was doing it, so just joined in.
How long had you been an alcoholic for at that stage?
Since I was 14. Yeah. Took me a long time. I've been in recovery. I've done recovery programs. I'm now going on 8 years sober, so yeah.
My name's Jody Chambers, and I'm from here, Hauora, Lower Hope, pretty much. It's a bit of a hard case place, really, if you really know it. 55 years of it, apart from the times I've been in and out of jail.
How many times has that been?
17.
17 times in jail?
Yeah, 17 years. I think, I think the last time I counted.
You just got out again not long ago, yeah?
Yeah, been out 2 months now, yeah. August, September, 3 months, yeah. Been out 3 months now.
What were you in for this last time?
2 burglaries and a couple of using document for pecuniary advantage, as they say. A couple of fraud charges.
Well, FASD, it's actually a diagnostic term. It's a medical condition. It describes the impacts on the brain and body of individuals who are prenatally alcohol exposed. And so when the brain is forming, it's forming differently, and that's affecting all aspects of brain function.
I was just a fucking thief, fraudster. and I had a bad habit of burglarising buildings. I like heights. Yeah. And I know where to hide in the building. Police came up with a name for me at one stage, calling me a stair dancer. What the hell? But little did I know what stair dancing meant. Start from the top floor, come down the stairs, pop doors, grab checks, credit card numbers, and use them. I suppose that's the only talent I sort of had, you know. Can't draw for shit, but I could sign the signatures pretty good.
I'm German American Samoan,
How old are you now?
46,
How many children do you have, Anna?
13 all up. 7 alive, 6 in heaven.
6 of your children have died.
Yeah, past ones. But I worry about the ones that are here.
You know what we're talking about today is FASD, yeah?
Correct, yep.
Fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And the reason that we wanted to talk to you is we wanted to know a bit about your pregnancies.
I've done it. I've done because of my upbringing. My upbringing made me the person who I am today. Literally, to do substance and all the substance that pretend that nothing happened, what I was going through in life. In general, that it was okay, what I was doing.
What were you doing?
All the substance.
Including while you were pregnant?
Yes, while I was pregnant.
Did you drink through all 13 of your pregnancies?
Yes. Drugs, pills.
Alcohol is more damaging for a baby during pregnancy than any other recreational substance. So we draw the conclusion, pee is bad for babies' brains. Now, pee is not good for a baby. It's not good for anybody. But pee does not do the damage, the extensive damage to a baby's brain that alcohol does.
When you were drinking during your pregnancies, how much were you drinking?
A lot.
So when you say you were drinking a lot, what's a lot?
Like, legless a lot.
Legless?
Yeah.
Like really drunk?
Yeah.
Was that before you knew you were pregnant?
Yeah, before and after.
When you knew you were pregnant, you would keep drinking?
Yep.
Did you know that it could harm your baby?
No, it was my craving.
I had a cordial with 2 of my nieces when it became obvious that FASD was a huge problem. They said they didn't realise back then that drinking while they were hapu, pregnant, was endangering the baby. So they just kept drinking.
Do you know about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder?
Yes, I did. That it could cook a kid's brain. Not that I didn't care. I didn't believe in it.
So you knew about it, but
Yeah.
you didn't think it was true?
No, I didn't believe in it. None of my kids were diagnosed with that.
So none of your children have been diagnosed with FASD?
No.
What message were you getting about drinking during pregnancy?
My message, I wasn't getting any message.
I didn't know it was going to affect Thomas's life. No. And Thomas knew that, he understood that.
Did he?
Yeah.
What did he say to you about
He always
that?
said to me, I don't blame you, Mum.
Because while, you know, he said to you that he didn't blame you, he also said to us that you should be in the dock with him.
In some ways, yes, it's true. I put him there, yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, with the drinking and that, you know, I do blame myself a little bit.
I do not blame women for drinking in pregnancy. I mean, look at our society. This is a societal problem. You cannot blame an individual person for this.
Our government has done nothing significant to warn women about the harms of alcohol exposure in pregnancy.
The Ministry of Health did do this Don't Know, Don't Drink campaign, but they didn't really point out the critical factor is that you don't drink because it causes brain damage.
A lot of people will tell you that they know that you shouldn't drink alcohol in pregnancy, but they don't always know that it causes brain damage. It's a fundamental difference.
It's like they pussyfoot around and say it's like may cause harm. And you know, when I meet with mums who've drunk in pregnancy, they are completely dumbfounded when I tell them that actually it causes brain damage. They're like, well, nobody told me that.
All a lot of our whānau know is that, oh, so-and-so down the road had, kids and they were all a bit roi upstairs.
The liquor industry and probably the government would say, well, yes, there have been campaigns actually. There have been campaigns to educate women about not drinking during pregnancy.
Not Māori women. Not Māori women.
Has anyone ever explained or tried to understand why you keep on offending and why you've spent so much time in prison? What might be going on for you?
I don't know, I didn't mind doing things for people, don't I? Hey, look, people help me out, I help them out, I'll try and do what I can to get them what they want, I'm an opportunistic, fun-loving criminal, I suppose. But I hate stealing. Fuck, I hate it. I really do. But it's like a bad habit,
Thomas came into your life when he was only 4 months old.
4 months old, yes.
You and Betty took him in.
That's right, yes.
What was he like as a baby?
Beautiful. Unbelievable.
When he was a little boy, did you notice there were any difficulties for Thomas?
He was a bit a little bit wild. He used to get a little bit of a temper.
He was different. He liked to be on his own and he had a terrible temper. Terrible temper.
What would happen when his temper came out?
All sorts. All sorts. He actually put my house on fire one day. Yeah.
How old would he have been there?
Oh, he was only 8.
What made him do that?
He just got angry with me.
We found out where his father was.
So we sent him over to Australia to meet his father for the first time at 11.
I gave him $400 to spend.
He got into a lot of trouble in Australia. I don't exactly know what he did.
He was there a week.
He ended up in hospital over there.
And they didn't want him.
His father never wanted to see him again after that.
When did Thomas start to get in trouble with the police?
He went to live in Wellington. And that's when he started getting in trouble with the police. And then he came back home and he still got in trouble. I used to talk to him about it. There was no need for him to do, but he was a softie, because if you said to Thomas, I could do with a helicopter, he'd go and pinch a helicopter for you. He was easy led.
So he was in homes from the age of?
Oh, it was roughly from the age of 11. You know, you could see that Thomas was actually crying out for help. I could see it. And the more I tried, the more I got pushed away. You know, nobody would listen to me.
What were you saying to them?
I was telling him there was something wrong with him, you know. He doesn't understand right from wrong, and he didn't. He didn't understand.
And Thomas really didn't ever stop getting in trouble with the police, did he?
No. He was morning, noon and night. I had the police at my place.
What would they say to you?
They'd just come in and arrest Thomas. And there were a few things that they arrested him for that he didn't do. But I couldn't prove that, and that was his life. The police were tired and fed up.
Well, because they can't take stress and they might get highly agitated, they don't really come across very well to the police. So unless the police know they're dealing with a disabled person who lacks the capacity to behave rationally, then actually the whole situation can really deteriorate to them, even threatening the police, and extra charges might get added because the police might come in heavy-handed because they don't know, they haven't had training in how to deal with people with disabilities or to recognise it. And even the ones I know with FASD forget to tell people that they've got FASD when they're stressed. And perhaps if the police knew that, they would respond differently and it might not turn into such a sort of escalating pattern.
So things were not quite right.
No.
You knew that.
Yeah.
Did you connect it with drinking and pregnancy?
I didn't till Thomas was about 13.
But what made you make that connection?
Well, I thought about when I was pregnant that I was drinking, and I'd read up on some things over the years and thought this may be affecting him. And I know I hit it on the nail. I know he had alcohol, and I don't blame myself, because I didn't know any better.
What was your role in Thomas's life?
Well, I'm the duty lawyer supervisor in the Wellington and Hutt Valley courts for the Public Defence Service, so I would always know when Thomas had been arrested or when he was coming to court.
You saw quite a lot of him then?
Yes, a lot.
They understand right and wrong, but in a particular situation, they are not good at choosing right from wrong. They're not good at thinking through to where that might be leading. And also they have got a poor concept of how their actions impact on other people. This is all to do with the nature of their brain damage.
What was the nature of his offending, usually?
A lot of dishonesty stuff, a lot of shoplifting, burglaries, although when we looked at those, they often came down to things like an lawfully on a property or something like that. He might go into the wrong property and there'd be a push bike and he'd think he was in a backpackers, but it was someone's house, and he'd take the push bike and he'd ride away and that type of thing.
He had spent most of his life in and out of jail.
That's right. I think he's been in every prison in New Zealand.
Was jail the right place for him to spend half his life?
Very much not, very much not. The mental anguish for Thomas was extraordinary, and it was very, very tough for him to be there.
The front doors to the prisons become a revolving door. Really does. And also I think it's fair to also say that while they're in there, because their condition hasn't been diagnosed, so they don't get access to the services that they need.
When you got out of prison this last time, tell me about what happened from there.
Yeah, that was, excuse my language, but that was a lot of bullshit. I had two corrections officers dump me in the middle of NIHI in Louisa, and I didn't even know where I was going. I had no place to go to. I had no clothes. I had nothing. See, I still don't have a bank account. I don't have any ID. I can't afford the ID. I'm trying to get my license back because my license expired, and trying to get ones to help me with that. They're saying that I need to produce all this ID, and I said, well, I can't get the ID. I need the money to get that ID. I haven't got a bloody birth certificate, Don't want to go too much into it, but I'm still trying to survive, I'm just trying to get through the day, In fact, I'm trying to get through the bloody hour. Tomorrow's got enough worries of its own, Just get through the hour you're in, boy. Well, that's what my mum always taught me,
Tell me about your mum.
Best friend I ever had. No one's ever come close. No one.
There's a decision from 2019 from Judge Hastings in the Wellington District Court, which is quite an extraordinary decision. because of the extent to which he goes into detail about not just Thomas's FASD, but FASD in general and how it impacts on people in the criminal justice system. And your report for the court in his case said that you estimated that more than $2 million had been spent on prosecuting and imprisoning Thomas Morrison.
$2 million had been spent, and that if even a quarter of that had been spent on meeting his disability needs, then it would be better for society and better for him.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly
something like that.
That's exactly what you wrote.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. If they could put in support instead of punishment, if they could put in a kind of managed life so that you didn't have to go out on the streets and steal, then, you know, the disabled person would have accommodation, they'd have food, they'd have, you know, health services. I'm not saying they might not still get into trouble, because they may, but at least they would have their basic needs met.
What of that do we have in place?
Nothing.
Successive governments have failed people with FASD. This is not just an issue about one moment in time or one government. This has been years of neglect of adequately providing support for people with FASD.
When you are out of prison, do you try to not go back to prison? Do you try to not commit crimes? Like, what happens?
Well, it's hard for a guy like me to get a job, in a sense of dishonesty, you know. Yeah.
So when you can't get work, what do you do?
I suppose I don't want to incriminate myself, but I still do. I still feel, straight up, I steal meat and that sort of stuff, you know, here and there, and because I can't afford a lot of things, because I get bugger all as it is, you know.
What do you get?
I just get on $400 a week.
From wins?
Yeah.
How many appointments do you have to go to?
Four per week. Yeah.
How do you get there?
Oh, yeah. Bus, train. Yeah, I don't have a car or anything.
How much does it cost you in all the bus and train fares?
Oh, geez, probably just on about 90 bucks, a little bit more than 90, you know, so $90 a week.
Do you make it to those appointments?
No, I missed a couple of them because I never had enough money to get into town.
Is FASD a disability?
Oh, absolutely. Fetal alcohol spectrum disorder is a disability. It's a disability according to every definition that we use domestically and internationally around what amounts to a disability.
If you are fortunate enough to have access to an assessment for FASD and you have a diagnosis, you are not eligible for disability support services. And it's worse than just being ignored.
It actually meets the definition of disability under the Ministry of Health's own criteria, but then under that criteria for whether or not people can access supports with FASD, it goes on to make a very explicit exclusion by saying that people with FASD cannot access these critical supports unless they have an IQ below 70, which is a very small amount of those with FASD, or they have another impairment on top of having FASD. So actually that deliberate exclusion means that thousands of people with FASD in Aotearoa cannot access the basic supports to enable them to live a good life.
I mean, maybe it's something to do with ignorance within the Ministry of Health. Their guidelines describe FASD as a behavioural disorder. Now, there's no medical science behind that. It's well established that it is brain damage. It is a recognised disability.
I suspect that the issue is that it will take an enduring funding plan. But here's the thing. It already costs New Zealand 450 million at a conservative end, and that's the Ministry of Health's own estimate, 450 million a year to manage the implications of FASD at the criminal justice end, the care and protection end, alcohol and drug abuse end of things. So why don't we invest that money in the front end and actually support people with FASD to live a good life instead of spending this investment when it's too late?
The problem is, to fix it is going to cost them a lot of money. And if you actually read the government's own documents, they note this issue needs to go to Cabinet to get approval because of how big a problem it is. No, 2 years later it hasn't gone to Cabinet. I don't get why.
How easy would it be to make that change?
In my view, relatively straightforward. It would require a paper to Cabinet to remove the exclusion of people with FASD from accessing disability support services.
With the stroke of a pen, essentially.
It could happen with the stroke of a pen.
Would you consider taking that to Cabinet and saying, let's do this?
What I do know is that there are people who kind of demonstrate elements of FASD, and because of that do get support. So look, I need to look at the range of things that are there, the range of things that aren't there for people who need it, and that's how you make a policy decision on that basis. But I'm not going to make one on the hoof.
You know, people say I'm a good man, but I don't see it in the mirror.
When you look in the mirror, what do you see then?
Yeah. Piece of shit. A piece of shit, mate. Call me whatever you want, mate, eh? For I am who I am. Just let me stand where I am. Hey, please don't knock me down. Just leave me be and let me stand where I am, for fuck's sake. For the only land I'm ever gonna own in this bloody world more than where I stand. It's the day this world fucker buries me.
How many babies are born in New Zealand with FASD?
I think the estimate is between 1,900 and 3,000 per year. But of course the thing is that accumulates because they grow up with FASD, they still have FASD till the day they die.
Can I ask you a question, and I hope that you don't take this the wrong way, but can I ask you whether you have a bit of a temper?
Yeah, I suppose I do, eh? But to take, I smash myself over, you know? Give myself a punch in the head or one fall tit into a wall and, headbutt the wall. Must still have a hard head.
Why do you do that?
I don't know, get rid of the frustration I'm sort of carrying, Not trying to be angry, I get pissed off with myself a lot, so I set myself up. I fail at a lot of things, and when I do, I get pissed off with myself, we'll smack you, And I don't know, I sort of get a bit of a high off it, really, when I say. And I think about it too, I suppose, if I ever came into a confrontation with somebody, and I have a couple of times where I've lost it and say, well, fucking kill me. If you hate me that much, you don't even fucking know me, You just want to take my fucking singlet, you want to take my clothes, you want to take this, you want to take that. Have it, mate,
There are some people with FASD who the nature of their, what has happened to them, their condition, is that they get caught up in the criminal justice system, get labelled criminals, and their issues are not being dealt with. And even with the kind of the army of psychologists and others in our criminal justice system, they still do not pick that up. And that is one of the gaps. We've got to fill that gap. It was on a Friday, and on a Friday he used to go up to the doctor and get a
a pill every day. And then on Friday, the doctor gave him enough for the weekend. So he took the lot that night and drank the whiskey as well.
I've taken a whole lot of Dopicol. I don't even remember being in that premises. I've taken a whole lot of pills and blacked out. I don't even remember going in there properly.
And what did he do after he'd had those pills and that whiskey?
Oh, he went across the road, broke into the house across the road. And when I bailed him up about it, he thought he was breaking into his own bathroom. Well, that's what he told me anyway.
He says he takes his medication as he should. Very quickly after, he may not feel that it's working quickly enough and that it's being effective, so he'll take another dose. And he's worked out that at that point, the medication kicks in. It's usually double at least the dose that he's supposed to have. And then he can't remember what he's taken. So then he swallows the lot. And he told me that because he knew how much was in a bottle, sometimes he thinks he's probably taken 28, 30 pills at once, because he then thinks, I haven't taken my pills, and so he takes some more. And he spent a lot of time really confused.
I'm very sorry for what I did. I had no intention. I don't know what I was doing. I can't tell what my intentions were, but I never intended purposely to hurt those two people.
Thomas said to me, it's not an excuse, but it's a reason. I didn't ask to have this problem I've got, and I'm really sorry if I've hurt anybody, but I didn't do it on purpose. I've spoken with his grandfather a lot because I've tried to keep him up to date as well, because he's been very stressed about Thomas. And he's talked to me about, well, certainly how much he loves him, but how much he's worried and how he doesn't feel he can look after Thomas properly without support from the health sector or from support from somebody.
It's just the Zopicon, those sleeping tablets were causing mayhem. I was taking them and they were causing chaos.
Somebody to help Thomas to navigate on a daily basis. That was particularly necessary, and I go back to that medication thing. That's what terrified me for Thomas, was these damn pills.
The most important thing that should be taken, that I should look at carefully, Thomas, is your brain injury. Nothing you did yourself, nothing you wanted, not your fault. This is primarily a health issue. It is the health team, the health providers that need to come to assist you. And you have been imprisoned over and over again. It hasn't worked. It is time for a new approach.
He was dropped off here at 11 o'clock at night by a prison warder or something from Spring Hill. Pouring the rain, and he was dropped off here.
I'm going to go to Burnham. I've got about $7,000 worth of stuff sitting at backpackers.
But in terms of your release conditions for getting out of jail...
I'm going to go report, and if probation say no, I'm going to go anyway.
But Thomas, I would worry that if you do that and they tell you that you shouldn't...
No, I'm going anyway. A normal person will not leave that property there.
No, but a normal person won't do something that might put them back in jail. Are you sure it's not going to be cheaper just to get her to career it all back?
No, it's not. No.
Hey, look, I'm really pleased to hear from you. Thank you for ringing, Thomas.
Yeah.
And let's talk again soon once you know what you're going to do tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. See ya.
Morning, Louisa.
Hi guys, is Terence coming in?
I haven't heard back from him, but I'll update him separately. But I wanted to let you know that Thomas died yesterday.
Oh.
Apparently, He had a nice day, spent the day in the garden, had a peaceful day, had dinner with his granddad, went to bed, and when his granddad hadn't seen him in the morning, went to find him and he'd died in his sleep. But, you know, he was 42.
No.
So are they going to do an autopsy, like a toxicology report and all of that kind of stuff?
I haven't. I wanted to catch up with you guys before I made any further inquiries, but you'd assume so. I mean, ordinarily for a death like that, an unexplained death, especially that young, there would be an inquest and autopsy.
Do we know if he picked up any prescription meds like sleeping pills and maybe accidentally overdosed? He was on the Zopicline last time. He busted into the neighbour's bathroom, wasn't it?
That's exactly the question.
But again,
isn't the judge saying in that sentencing that it was amazing that he was alive after that episode? He's done the same thing again.
Oh, poor Thomas. What a fucking tragic end to a tragic life.
Hello?
Hello, is that Paddy?
It is Reed, yes.
This is Paula Penfold. I'm the journalist in Auckland that was speaking to you.
Oh, yes, I was hoping to get hold of you. I was going to ring you.
I have been told the dreadful news.
Oh, Jesus, I'm away with it at the moment. I don't know what to say or do. We never got a chance to help him. I don't know what I'm going to do without him now.
What do you know? What do you know?
Well, I do know. I'll be quite honest with you. I do think he OD'd on codeine. We found the jar, the little bottle in the bottom of the bed. And the other thing is, my room is next to his, and I heard him snoring. And I was going to get out of bed and tell him to cut out the bloody snoring. But he wasn't snoring. He was dying.
He used to get up at 6 every morning. He'd be up at 6. And he'd go out and sit in that chair there out the front or out the back here and have a smoke. I got up out of bed at 8, had a shower, came out here, and there was no sign of him. And I went down and his door was shut, his bedroom. And I opened it up and he was lying there. And I tell you, all I could do was ring 111 and the ambulance and everything. But he was cold. He was cold when I put my hand on his forehead and it picked up his hand.
I was gutted, absolutely gutted. I wanted to know how and why and all of that, obviously. I don't have any reports, any toxicology reports, no one's told me. I think I know, but nobody's told me.
What do you
told
think?
me yet? That he's messed up his meds and he's taken too many of them, or he's taken the wrong thing.
Probably took a mouthful of them. I don't know.
You said to me on the phone after Thomas died that you were pissed off.
Yeah, I was pissed off, really
Why?
pissed off. Because it was unnecessary. Now, I say that not knowing what he actually died of or how he died, but I'm pissed off anyway. No matter how he died and why he died, I'm pissed off. Because we were on the brink, I thought, finally, of making sure that Thomas from here on in could have a life where he wasn't in and out of a police cell or a prison for the rest of it, because nothing was going to change that except having him get the proper help for his fetal alcohol and his intellectual disability. Nothing was going to change for him unless that changed, and that's why we pushed so hard to get that part of his life sorted.
He loved you very much.
Yes, and I loved him. Yeah, he was a great kid.
He was a good guy. And I love him. I still love him. He died young, 42. Too young.
Then we just keep going, you've got fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, sorry. You know, we'll just keep being sorry for you until you're not here anymore. Well, it's a fat lot of use, isn't it?
Let's look at policy and action. There was something called the Taking Action on FASD Action Plan 2016 to 2019. What did it achieve?
Not much, actually.
What do you think of the action plan that they released for FASD in 2016?
Yeah. I'll leave it at that. And that probably is a good indicator as to what my thoughts are on it.
What did it achieve?
Well, nothing.
Very little has changed in any meaningful way for whānau at the front line who are living with FASD in their household.
Are you surprised to hear this? Because your officials don't seem to be giving you this picture.
It's certainly not a surprise to me to hear that the expectations are that we're not there yet, we need to do more.
The pace of action in New Zealand has been glacial for years and years, and I continue to be at a loss as to why that is.
You know, I sort of know what will help too, because I've studied this for so many years and met so many, but nobody's ever asked my opinion about what should happen.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, internationally I'm recognised as an expert. In New Zealand, nobody consults with me about what should happen about FASD.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I can't really fathom it. I think there's just this sort of blanket denial at all levels that we have got this huge drinking culture which causes brain damage in our children, which means that a percentage of our population has got brain damage. And to sort of face that, you've got to face a lot of things. We need to face all those things.
Which brother was it who told you about what he was worried about when your mother was pregnant with you?
I'm my oldest brother. He said that, you know, Mum had this addiction with her drinking and sniffing this brasso stuff. But I never ever asked him, you know, how much she did or anything like that, eh? What effect it had on me, eh? I really don't know.
You know why we're doing this documentary, eh? About fetal alcohol?
Roughly, yeah, roughly, ma'am, yeah.
What do you understand it to mean?
Look, I'm not going to blame my mum, you know, because she drank and she did what she did while she was carrying me.
I was quite like, not there but not. Still angry at a lot of things. Angry.
What were you angry about?
Things in life, what I was going through.
Do you want to say what you were going through?
You know, I was like a kid that I felt like I was pretending to be like spoiled at home and I wasn't. That I had a perfect life and I didn't.
How many psychologists have you seen?
The last count, I suppose, 27, something like that. I know it's over, yeah. It's more than 24, yeah.
When you were in court?
Oh, court. Hey, when I got out of jail, when I was going through probation, and in jail.
And what have those psychologists said about you?
Some of them just said that I was just a fucking cunning crook. Hey.
But you've never had a diagnosis of FASD?
No. I'm not. No, I didn't.
But do you know everything about your life completely fits with the pattern of people who have FASD? And that means that it's not your fault that things have been so hard.
Yeah, well, it was my fault, eh? I committed crime, I know what's right and wrong, eh? I know I shouldn't have done what I did, but...
The thing about FASD and the crimes that you have committed, you know, if you had had a diagnosis and if you had been given support,
yeah,
you might not have ended up needing to commit those crimes.
suppose if I got the help, I'd getting a job and that, you know.
What help have you had?
Oh, probation, I don't know, probation have been good, but then they're limited. They got so many bloody clients and that, and they say, well, here's a card, go see these people, they might be able to help you with this. I go there, and someone will say, well, look, we wish we can help you, but we can't.
Who failed, Thomas?
I think it's a collective failure. Therefore, it's a collective responsibility. It's a collective responsibility so that we ensure there aren't any more failures.
I'm still devastated. I just miss him so much. He took a big part of me.
What does it say to you about us as a society that these are the outcomes?
It ultimately says we either completely lack awareness of the really profound impacts of FASD, both socially and economically. At worst, it says we actually don't care as a country. We don't care about the harm that's caused to the individual and family. We just don't care.
I've had old people say to me, this is your destiny. You carry the fights of your tupuna, your ancestors, on your shoulders. Am I in it for the long haul? Absolutely. Wherever it's going to go. I'm in there to make a difference for my people. It's got to stop.
How long is this going to take to fix? And I ask that because, you know, Māori first petitioned the government on this in 1874. The petition said our babies are not born healthy because the parents drink to excess and the child suffers. You know, those words are very sad, aren't they? And a century and a half later, the children are still suffering, aren't they? So, you know, is this fixable? And how long, if it is, will it take to fix till you're comfortable that we're doing enough?
So we recognise the reality of FASD. It is here, it's in our communities. We recognise that properly diagnosing it and evaluating people who suffer it, we are nowhere near where we need to be, and putting the supports in place just about FASD, we're nowhere near that as well. We responded to bits of the problem. We have some people who can do diagnosis. So we've got to have, across our health and social support systems, the full range of people and the full range of responses that can do that. We don't have that at the moment.
Which is a failure, isn't it? That it's taken this long and we still don't have that.
Sure, yeah, we are not there yet.
What do you miss most about Thomas?
His presence. Yep. I miss him every morning I get up and before I go to bed. When I walk outside and I look at my gardens now and I think of him.
It's not the same here without him.
Never will be.
Thank you for helping us to get to know Thomas a little.
Yeah. Sorry that he's not here to do it himself, but...
So are we.
Oh, I wish.